Hey everybody, Brad Linder coming at you with another card of the day. We're going to be doing The Impossibles. This is a Hanna-Barbera cartoon that originally premiered in the 60s with a character called Frankenstein Jr. And it was a dual cartoon combination show like they had. Hanna-Barbera was huge on that stuff with the superhero comics and cartoons at the time, specifically the cartoon genre. And they were busting out animating everybody's stuff. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to start knocking this out fairly quickly. I'm going to start in here on Multiple Man's hair, which is kind of a reddish orange kind of thing going on. So I like to start this one. I've done this a bunch over the years. Now what I like to do is do a dual tone with it. So first off, we get a massively bright orange, no doubt about it. Going in with a bright tangerine orange color and knocking that out. I like to use a simple yellow orange to do this, and then go in with a bright red for pop. So I'm going to use a softer red, a little more of a bright offshoot, rather than not necessarily a candy apple, but it's right up there. You know, I like it really bright, and it adds this really cool strawberry blonde type of effect to it. So it's really clean, and gives it a great duality. So because it shows through on the card, very clean. Like I said, he's got kind of an auburn strawberry blonde kind of thing going on, where the other guys have one of them has black hair, which is Fluid Man back here, and Coil Man has blonde hair, bright blonde hair, but you don't get to see it because it's under his helmet. So very cool contrast with these characters. Other than Mytor, this may be my favorite set. I really like Mytor and Birdman, but this may be my favorite set of heroes right there in that line. I'm going to go ahead real quick and do, hey, Jim, glad you made it, man. Danny, Johnny, and Margaret are here too. Cool. Thank you very much for coming on. I know it's late, and I'm going to try and get this back up because tomorrow, which is only about an hour away, hour and a half or so, I'm going to be moving back up to the 2 to 4 p.m. range because I had such a big hard push with my Night of the Living Dead comic, which I'm trying to get completed for Sunday, and I have another page and a half to color and finish up on that. So that would be why I've been out of pocket today. Normally I'm a little more social, but been hammering stuff out. Also have a huge webinar coming up for internet marketing stuff. So that podcast starts and that webinar starts for that this coming week as well. I was going to start that on Sunday as well, but I decided to hold off on it so that I could do one then the other. Now, with this, I'm going to wait on coloring in Multiple Man's costume here. I want to go in and do Fluid Man back here first so that we have him out of the way. And I want to make sure that I color in all of the proper spots so that I don't go into Multiple Man and miss anything on the two. So that's the reason why I'm doing that. Plus, he also has a singular color green that goes over him, and that's pretty much it. I do have a lighter green that I'm going to use for the goggles for his mask. But other than that, though, he's pretty simple. That and a dark purple F right here in his chest for Fluid Man, which I like to put the same purple on his F for the Fluid Man logo as I do for Coil Man back here, which has a two-tone purple. He has a light violet for the dark, and he has a almost a, I don't know, it's just a super light, almost pastel type purple that goes for his contrast. So there's Fluid Man. Got that green down. Now I'm going to take the dark purple and pop that in right here on Fluid Man's chest for the purple F. So we got his purple and his green in. And then I'll come back to that visor in just a minute. Now in Coil Man, it's a little bit different because he's got these two contrasting purples on here. And I don't want to color over the blacks because that will show up very heavily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and color this like this. It's one good thing about the 60s style cartoons that they were monotoned, so you didn't have multiple layers of color on the one individual layer of color. So you'd have like one, if it was dark purple like this, it was just one color purple throughout. It wasn't toned and changed up and whatnot. It was just a one purple. So I'm going to blend this together. And if my voice sounds different today, it's because I have a little bit of a an allergy thing going on, and my voice has dropped a touch. I've heard that today a lot. Hey, cool, man. I appreciate you stopping by on it anyway, Johnny. Thanks, man. Brian, glad you made it, buddy. Haven't seen you in a bit. Gonna knock this out for this darker purple here. Like I said, this is gonna be a darker kind of purple going in because I wanted it to contrast a little bit more. And with the dark red that I'm going to be using on Multiple Man here, I really want it to shine. So now I got to go in with this glove here. Gonna knock this bad boy out. And I wouldn't recommend normally coloring over the lines like this on the black too much, but with these finer blacks, it's okay to do that. It's just be sure not to color with the pencil over the heavy blacks like this and like these big spot blacks, because it'll change up and it'll get the waxy shine will change up when you scan it, and it'll actually screw them up. It'll make them look faded or wonked out, you know, so don't do that because you'll pay for it dearly. You were thinking of The Incredibles, Jim. That's The Incredibles. The Incredibles are the Disney characters. These are the Impossibles from Hanna-Barbera. Now I'm going, like I said, I'm going with a lighter violet look rather than the powder blue purple that he would normally have, because I wanted this just to contrast and be a little brighter. I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's the wrong purple, that's too pink. Well, in this case, I wanted it to be a little more pink so it would show up a little bit better. Because the powder pink or the powder purple that he does normally have, it looks a little too dark, too grayish, and it's actually more contrasting than this. So I went with a little bit brighter, pinker version of it with a little more red in it, so that we could have that that bright pop. So that was the reason I went this route. I'm going to color that C really dark here in just a minute. But I think we're going to be okay with this. I really like the look of it. Thought it would be fun. Go all the way to the edge on this thing. There we go. Get that coil there. You know what? I think I'm going to color that one in now. Leave it gapped. It looks okay. Yeah, it looks all right. So I'm going to go back to this dark one here. Color in the logo for the C. Boom, done deal. All right. Now, I'm going to go into this Multiple Man red, and this is going to be, like I said, different in the way it's set up, and I'm going to do the black highlights in gray. But I wanted this one to be a rich, kind of a cherry red. Yeah, I wanted it to have a solid contrast against that black. And normally I would use a maroon for this, but I wanted to have a 60s vibrance to it because so many people go in and they say they're gonna knock it out and do, you know, bright, vibrant colors, but then they never go bright enough, and they always go too dark, and they do that crimson, you know, that crimson style dark red, and it looks too heavy. And then when it sets and dries, it looks exactly like the dark maroon they wanted to avoid. So I tend to go with these brighter colors because they just stimulate the look of the card a lot better, because they contrast just enough to be a high-end look, which I really, really dig, especially for these characters, because I want to do them justice, because they're, like I said, some of my favorite comic characters or cartoon characters in this case. There's nothing like it. The Hanna-Barbera tunes were the cream of the crop, top of the line, and some of the best animation even till this day. I mean, just storyline wise, and the way they handled everything with the drama, even though they didn't necessarily get dramatic, you know. A lot of people associate Scooby-Doo with Hanna-Barbera, and they overlook the better stuff, which is the superhero stuff, in my opinion. And some of the best stuff that they have is Johnny Quest, which nobody realizes that Hanna-Barbera did Johnny Quest. And it's just like, really? Really? How do you miss that? But whatever, you know. Most people associate like Yogi Bear and, you know, the Wacky Racers and all that good stuff, and which is fine. But I associate the Jetsons, the Flintstones, and then, you know, the primetime stuff, and then I associate these guys, which in most cases end up being missed and overlooked. I'm checking out to make sure that everything's flowing properly. Yeah, the Herculoids are awesome. Yeah, we're back to pencils tonight, Johnny, because I wanted to do something different with this one and make it contrast a little bit. And Copics are cool, but they're also something I like to use on a limited basis because of the fact that I can do more with the pencils than I can with the Copics in most cases, you know, without using up all my stock. So those ink refills are a little pricey sometimes, but I mean, that's not necessarily a problem. It's just that I prefer to use multiple mediums, so I don't have to worry about that. And the fact that I really love the look of the pencils because they're so bright. So that's a huge thing for me as well. Now I'm going to contrast this red here and this black with the gray rim on the shield here, but I am going to do the right thing here and not gray that out. That M stays white for Multiple Man on this costume and this shield. So there you go. I'm going to grab a light green here. Got a yellow going on. I think I'm going to go with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this go bright yellow on this pair of goggles here. And go back with the bright green. And mix that over. And there we go. We have the yellow goggles, the glass-looking goggles for Fluid Man. Now, I think I'm going to go with a very cool teal green here. This teal, blue, green, turquoise color for the background. Just to break things up and make it have that psychedelic look of the 60s where everything pops off. I think that looks really good. Man, that's a strong color. Wow. I've used this on a couple other things, but it's really coming out. I guess it's contrasting with the other colors and popping up here, but I wanted to do that green, not the teal, so I'm going to go back over that, brighten that back up. Because that's not coiled like Coil Man over here. So let's see. We've got this section here. And the cool thing about these pencils is they're very forgiving. So I'm going to go over this direction first. Knock this out. Try not to bend that card there. Go across this edge here. Very cool. And I've had people asking me what I was doing today. Right before I said I was busy, you know, with stuff, and I have a couple of different things going on. I've got a new book coming out, a new self-help book coming out. I've got a new training course coming off the table. I've got 2 new comics coming out, one of which is the start of the Night of the Living Dead series on Sunday, and I've got a couple of different other things going on, comic books and webinars and all kinds of stuff coming up. So I've got to keep on track because, like I said, when I knocked that set of cards off my desk, boy, it just opened up my calendar. So I'm very pleased with that. Got to slow down a little bit, making too big of circles here rather than going back and forth. I'm gapping it. There we go. Cool. All right. So now you guys have The Impossibles. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jim. Thank you. Let's see. My preference for your pencils is that it looks like it's something that I could emulate. Yeah, I try to make that to where it's plausible, to where people can do it, and I want to show these off and do them that way. You make it look easy and accessible. Like a comic book version of Bob Ross. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. That's what it's for. I want to show off these concepts and have you guys be able to repeat them and, not necessarily my style, but show that it's easy to do pencil work. You can do comics in whatever medium you want. Comics are an open medium, not necessarily a genre. Okay, because people say, well, that's a genre. Comics are a genre like magazines or books or novels. No, they're not. Comics is a storytelling medium. It is all about adding words and pictures together to tell a story. And, in this story, they're ready to go. You can look at this picture and tell flat out, these guys are ready to go do battle or whatever they've got to do. They're ready to face off with whoever's in the picture, opposing them, and ready to go. That tells a story. That's what I want these to do for you. So, you can take these stuff that I do in these sketch cards and, you can do that for yourself. And that's a big part of it. But, and I'm glad you guys like them and hope that's part of what you guys are interested in doing is learning how to draw comics and learning how to draw cartoons and pictures and all this good stuff, because that's what this is about, as well as a self-learning curve for me, because practicing what you teach allows you to teach it better. And by living what you preach, you're able to get that out there and show it off. And that's exactly what I do with the students in all branches of my business. So I appreciate that. I'm going to call it a night for right now, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And as always, you know how it is. Thanks for joining me. I so appreciate your support and following on this. And we are over 320 of these now. We're in between 320 and 325 right now, so hang with me because we're almost up to a full year marker with these for the sketchbook. It's crazy. But anyway, as you know, we inherited this big rock for just a little bit of while, just a little small time in the whole essence of the human species. as I like to call them. Let's go with that and say, what are we going to leave it as for tomorrow? You know what I mean? So get out there, do something nice, share it, say hi, make somebody smile, make somebody laugh, hug a kid, make sure they're somebody you know, and go from there. Talk to you tomorrow.